So I did have Hal Jensen popped in my office.
Who?
Hal
Okay.
Jensen. And within the time frame of meetings this morning, Matthew got back with us on the code enforcement position. He feels that should be graded at a 9. The clerk's recommendation has that position budgeted at a 10. If we bring that position down to a 9, that creates about $2,000 in savings. Hal asked if we could move that to travel and education, because in the clerk's recommendation, there were some cuts, but he has 3 new positions, essentially, that he could use that training money for. So I just needed to see if I could get board's permission to adjust within that department, reduce that salary accordingly to what it should be graded at, and then put that money in travel and education.
Yeah, he's talked to me about his new inspector, trying to speed up that process to send him to a course that would take care of that in one shot instead of taking several months to get there. He can do it.
And he's going to bring that before the board when they sign the contract on OpenGov
Yeah.
in a couple weeks. But anyways, this would be a net effect.
Yeah, I think that that's a good deal,
Okay.
honestly. I
Okay.
think that that's an area, like I say, that's a busy department.
Mhm.
And to get our inspector up to where we need to be and stuff.
How much is that class? Do they need all of it? It's $2,000?
This is for next year.
Right.
The class that they're talking about is going to be this year, and they have about, well, there's $2,900 for him to attend the training this year, but they think they have cost savings from the cost difference between CityWorks and OpenGov that they can cover
Okay.
the training and the per diem, and then they can get him to this level.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, that one is this year, you're right.
Yeah.
I had my days backwards.
But there will be some more next year too.
Correct.
And then we've also got, you know, like I said, 2 new
I
people.
mean,
in
we're
there.
talking $2,000, so I
Yeah.
think that's
And bottom line will be the same.
in that department. So
Okay.
I have no problem with that one.
Okay. I think that's the only thing that popped up in our break
Okay,
between 11 and...
so
Yeah.
everybody that we've met with, any concerns, questions, the coverage for the wages on the operators?
I still would like to push that, because that is what the compensation group talked about, those two.
Actually, I
We didn't
have-
really have a number when we were talking, but those were the 2 hot spots that we wanted to address.
That one for me, though, as we've talked about it, creates an issue countywide. That's a big pill. It's not just Road and Bridge or just the landfill. There's operators all over that are on the same scale. It'd be a big chunk.
Well, and I would argue a little bit that there's a big difference between the operators that are out there, Road and Bridge, and the landfill versus the wellness complex. And Scott will argue with me all day that they're driving a tractor too, but it's not the same. And so I'm willing,
Not on the highway.
I'm willing to fight that fight this year and say, hey, let's take care of these guys. Maybe next year we look at your guys as operators, but
Can we do 1 grade this year so that we don't have the compression issue with management? And then next year, as HR evaluates bigger picture, they can see if the management needs to move up too, because otherwise if we do 2 grades this year, we're gonna have the management 1 grade difference from the operators.
we've got that all over the place.
Yeah, but this is putting us in that situation knowingly.
Right.
Whereas if we did 1 grade this year and then evaluate big picture, then if we needed to move all of them next year, we could move all of them. I'm just throwing a suggestion out
No,
there.
and I appreciate the discussion, because to me, when we do it halfway, we're kicking that can down the road like we're trying to avoid for years and years, saying, well, we just do this much, well, we'll just do this much. Instead of taking the real step and saying, all right, let's commit to the process and go. We realize it's gonna do this, we know that, but all the managers I talked to about it said, we get it, we understand, take care of our people.
Okay. But the funding will be kicking down the road, because if we use operating money, like not paving roads, to do this. Next year, we're gonna be playing catch-up on the roads, plus moving
And
management.
I know John's
So-
against raising taxes and all, but I'm not.
Okay,
I think that this is a position where we can't short our maintenance of roads and stuff like that. That just gets you further back and further, I mean, that costs you more money. So I would be more entitled to raise a tax to fund these and get it going, and then it becomes part of the process and it's there. But you can't keep shortcutting operations there. But I think that our number one priority, and I said it before, is a budget. And I think that we need to be very serious in adjusting that and getting that where it needs to do. And I know that nobody wants to raise taxes, but also, we haven't raised taxes since we've been here. We've worked very, very hard at that. And, I mean, we've had a couple of years where we took 0% each. We took, 1.5% last year? And it's just something that I feel like we need to do. I appreciate all that you've done and all the efforts that you've put in, but I think that if it comes to doing what's right for our employees somewhat, and doing what's right for the taxpayers, that we're meeting that, even if we raise taxes a little bit, because if we just keep putting off taking out of B budget, it's gonna cost us in 2 years double what it is this year.
Maybe.
Guaranteed,
No.
guaranteed. Maintenance,
You look at what is going on with this election. You look at what happened the last time we had a conservative White House, and then what happened when we went to what we have today with inflation out of control. I think there is a chance you're gonna see these costs are gonna come down, depending on the outcome in November.
not if we keep,
Things like
Not
fuel are a commodity. Those
but-
are moved by markets.
but if we don't do the maintenance, then more and more deteriorates. And if we do the maintenance and we do the chip and seal, then we save the road. But if we don't do, and if we start taking away the maintenance into stuff, I did a parking lot up there at On that is 25 years old, because we did the maintenance every year. We did the crack seal, we did that. We did what we was needed to do to maintain. But if you go have to replace that right now, I mean, it's as much as on cost to replace that whole parking lot. There's a lot of money that would be involved to tear that all up and stuff. And so that's all I'm saying is, if we start failing on doing the maintenance of our roads, it's gonna cost us in the long run.
Yeah, and I'm not advocating not doing maintenance, but I think there is a case to be made that you can pull some money out of there. I'm not saying you pull all the paving money out, but I think there is a case to be made that some of that money, it's a gamble, but I think it's certainly a possibility without raising any more spending. And we have a little bit that we've made up here and there.
We have. And then the extra position at the landfill, I would like to see a way to get that, honestly. I've been to that scale house, and when there's one person, and you got people coming both ways, you're backed up that mountain, and you're backed up, well, both directions, a long ways. And if you have one person calling sick and stuff, and then the cross training, and that's like we talked earlier, I think that position, we need somebody that, because we gained so much in people going up there. The usage of that facility, I just really believe that is another position that it's pretty important.
Aren't there other people in the office up there that could go fill in for that scale house position of the need to do so? I mean, they're doing it now.
there's a management
one.
assistant right now that fills in.
But if somebody goes on vacation, then that takes that person out of the office for extended periods of time.
Well, and
Call-outs or attempts not showing up reliably.
Right.
the other part, and I don't know if it ever happened or how much it happened, but we had Road and Bridge and them together. And so there was some,
They never covered the
Okay.
scale
They
house.
didn't, nope.
they
did
never
not.
crossed over and
No.
filled for each other. Because I know that sometimes the operators did.
Yeah.
but not the,
There is a lot of availability for that office staff to go out there. It is well known that that position has time.
has plenty of time.
That being said, I mean, coverage can be an issue, but if somebody calls out and they're sick, and there is only that one then for an extended period, I get it. I understand the ask, but the full picture is that there is time most of the time.
I sit on both sides of the fence on this one, and I'm more inclined to wait until we see what efficiencies we gain with the scale house. And I realize we're a year away, but okay, we've survived 20 years the way we have.
Right.
Let's go one more and see where we're at, and see what efficiencies we gain.
So how much does a part-time person work and stuff? When do they work, I guess?
They have, right now, there is a seasonal person that's up there.
Seasonal, so
They
summer,
run-
basically?
Yeah, I think
But
it's summer through October, isn't it?
Maybe here's what we do. Why don't we just throw more money in there and see if we can hire two? Or hire rotating schedules. So instead of just working 5 months during the summer, maybe this person starts March, and then we have somebody else start in like June. And then they could overlap a little bit.
Be like in elections.
And that, it could do that. You could, because we definitely, I mean, you don't need them most of the time in the winter months, when it's snowy and wet and nobody wants to be up there. There's people that have to be and those that don't. So it would be mostly maybe to try and cover 10 months. So if we could start somebody and then start somebody else, then you could have some duplicate. And that wouldn't be a new position, but it would be temp and it would be a body.
No, I think that'd be a good idea.
I would be okay with that.
Something to
I think that's a
try.
good compromise.
Right now, there's.
Because then if Dylan's managing that schedule, because they can only work a certain number of hours, just working full days, you're working these full days, you're working these full days, that could be
So that would be a cheaper option.
It's a cheaper option.
Than a full-time person. Be a little bit of help until we get the scale house in and then continue to assess.
That'd be an easy X out later,
yeah.
do it the scale house.
Because they might decide that they need something different than whatever they're thinking now.
I just think there'll be some efficiencies that
I
we
agree.
gain that we're just not aware of right
I
now.
mean,
That
I was up there the other day, and the line to leave was all the way up.
Right.
And I think a lot of that will be,
Yeah. That's a pretty steep hill to be.
it is.
well,
Sitting on.
I like that suggestion. I think that's
Okay.
good.
So, are we down to decision time? That I can like call roll call.
Yeah.
So equipment operators,
I'm sorry?
equipment operators for road and bridge, noxious, mosquito, and landfill.
I had a question on noxious and mosquito. What equipment are they operating that justifies the hire?
I think, I'm trying to remember when he sent that email with the justification.
Sorry.
Some of it's the certification, right?
So, do we have operator levels?
They want to make operator levels. Right now, we
1, 2,
have
and 3.
seniors and then just equipment
Yeah, they
operators.
want to go 1, 2, 3, 0. 1 is no
One,
CDL,
and
2 is
then
a CDL, and then 3 is the advanced
Right.
equipment.
And what they want to do with noxious, I don't think I brought my big folder that
So,
has.
kind of thinking
information.
about what you were saying, because I don't disagree that up there at the wellness complex, yeah, they're moving heavy equipment, but they're not out on a roadway. There's a skill differential. I was driving a tractor when I was 12,
Right,
similar to what they're driving.
right.
So there's a skill differential. So this could be the moment that we say, you're an these operators are a 1, and noxious is a 2, and road and bridge is a 3. Landfill is a 3.
No,
I think
And
there's
we-
more
and-
assumed risk up there too.
correct.
So I mean, all it is a label.
Well, and the truth of the matter is, last year they come in and asked for stuff for road and bridge and talk about the or call-outs and stuff. And we did that for Road and Bridge, but we didn't do it for landfill, because they didn't come and ask for it. Scott hasn't come and asked for it either. And justifications, just because we feel like it, I think there should be justifications coming from the department heads on some of this stuff too.
And for some reason, I don't have the documents that we originally talked about in our compensation group, which I think has more justification on, unless it's in the department
If
request.
you go back to
It seems like
mosquito,
Yeah.
some of the ask was because of the certified
and that's
on the
mosquito
sprayers.
and weed both now, because of new regulations, have to be licensed.
With the increasing regulations and licensing requirements for spraying pesticides, as well as our struggles with hiring seasonal workers, that was part of the justification for moving to a grade 9. Yeah, that's all I got. But that's a little bit more. Sorry.
So,
And the other deal on that one, especially, well, both weed and mosquito, is we gotta get pilots for crop dusting. I mean, we gotta have somebody who can run that drone. There's no reason to have a drone if we don't have pilots who can run it, which I expect, like in mosquito with Dana, that you don't have to pay them all this at once, but just like we have everybody else. You learn this, okay, we move you up. You learn this, we move you up. I think that that's part of the process.
one of the things that we talked about in the compensation group, and this goes back to what you had talked about at IAC last year, those on-the-spot rewards for people.
Yeah, clerk's kudos.
Yeah,
That's what
and we
he's
talked
doing.
about giving every department some money for those things. So if you get a certification, rather than getting a salary bump, we can give you a kudos, say, here you go, and then maybe next year, the budget, we can talk about something to that away, or something along those lines, but that was something that I thought was a great idea, and the compensation group liked that as well, because again, when we're not adjusting all the salaries across the board, like we are the two that we're talking about, that gives those department managers something that they can say, hey, good job, thank you for your longevity, here's whatever. And when you spend it, it's gone, and you're
The
there.
negative is there is a couple departments, law enforcement can't do that. So.
Yeah,
that would
I don't
be-
know that we're gonna be able to do monetary. For me, the idea that I had was more like swag kind of stuff. That was good stuff, not just junk. But the problem is when you, like on the employee evaluations, you have how many that came back all down the board exceeds expectations, even though how many times did we say no one exceeds expectations all the way through? And so when you do give money like that and you give it to the department head to just fan out when they feel like they did a good job, well, they're gonna run out of money quick.
Well, that's okay,
But,
they're out of money.
and I also think that unfortunately, they play favorites and that'll get us into trouble.
That'll get them into trouble.
Well,
Well,
it'll get both of us into trouble. It'll get the county in trouble and it will get,
So real quick, let's
Them in trouble.
rein this
Yeah.
part back in, then we can go back to that. Equipment operators. So are we doing increases for road, noxious, mosquito, and landfill?
I struggle with weed and noxious.
Okay,
Or,
so-
no, mosquito and noxious.
So road and bridge and landfill, yes.
That's
we
all
could,
I
we
know.
could even label it high-risk operator.
Well, I think
something
it's the
like
1,
that.
2, and 3. I mean, that says where they are. I
But
mean,
then we keep noxious and mosquito as noxious weed operator, mosquito operator,
yeah.
and then they're not within that category this year.
To me, they were not in the category this year. I'm
Okay.
talking the big, heavy equipment operators are the ones that
Okay.
need to focus on.
Yeah,
2 steps per request.
that's where I would say, yes.
Okay.
John?
Can you, how much extra money are you talking about?
120, oh, wait.
That was the 140,000?
73,000 for road and bridge and 47,000 for landfill.
So that would be additional taxpayer spending.
yes on road and bridge, no on landfill. I don't know how we're gonna cover
Landfill's
landfills.
fees.
Landfill would have to
Yeah.
be fees.
Landfill, we could change the fee.
So it's
a little
70
bit.
some odd thousand.
Either fees or we add, or we take something out of operating. So yes, 74,000.
And so can we find money somewhere else to pay for this so that we're not increasing the taxpayer spending?
A
Well, I
little
would-
bit of money out of prosecutors, but not quite enough.
We gave some of it to Tony, so we're sure.
But there's about 10,000.
Well, and we got others we're gonna talk about here too.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, so we're not done yet.
So
So
let me.
that's why I'm asking the
Okay,
question.
let me keep a tally.
Can we
Do you think-
recess for a couple of minutes?
Yeah, let's go ahead and be at recess for a minute.
I wonder if it would create a